I think it's useful for this video if I give you a bit of background about the school that my children went to. It's a two-form entry infants and junior school. The infant school had an Ofsted rating of good and the juniors of satisfactory at the time my children started. And they've since amalgamated into an entire primary school, and the latest Ofsted was satisfactory, or whatever the equivalent is now. My children are 6 and 5 years old. My eldest daughter went to the school for the entire reception year and one term of year 1, and my youngest daughter went for one term of reception. I've now since decided to homeschool them, not just because I was dissatisfied with the school they went to, but dissatisfied with the school system in general. I did have kind of two perspectives of the school. One as a parent in the way that all parents are, and also I did a one-term's work experience teaching in year 4. I was there almost every day, and so I got an insight into the kind of goings on in the school. I was privy to information and witnessed practices and attitudes I probably wouldn't have otherwise, and so that's going to colour my opinion of the school somewhat. The school itself, I was generally happy with it to begin with until I did my work experience. It was a friendly school. I felt that as far as community events went, at clubs, after school events, trips and so on, parents were very well informed. Had a newsletter, there was a website. So yeah, we kind of knew what was going on in that respect. In as much as my children's education, there was the kind of standard 3 parents evenings throughout the year, so 1 per term. And I mean that's pretty standard across most schools, as I understand it. Unless there's any particular concerns with your child, academically or socially, then I don't really see the value of parents' evening. It's great in as much as you can go in with your child, share their work, have a look at their books, just kind of get some reassurance that they're doing okay and that they're doing what's expected, understand a few of the targets that they're expected to meet within the next term. That's great, and it's a good experience for you and your child to do that together. I think it's valuable to the child. But as far as how well your child is doing, I didn't think it was very informative. I kind of knew how well my kids were doing in school. The teachers, you could have, gone to see them after school or before school if you had some concerns and wanted to chat, or generally see how your kids are getting on. But I always felt, and this may be as a result of training to be a teacher and being aware of the stresses and the time constraints of being a teacher, but I always felt that I would have been a bit inconvenienced doing that. So I really didn't. Along with the community events that happened in the countless Mufti days, I mean 1 a week at one point, came cost. And the school was on the border of quite an affluent area and a deprived area. So you had families from both ends of the spectrum there. And every Mufti day would cost money. And although parents understood when that was for charity, they became a bit miffed, I suppose, having to pay money when they didn't know what it was being used for. There was never any explanation as to where the money was going, what it was being used for. I mean, you could have said, to go to school fund. Even that would have been welcome as a piece of information. So parents, I don't think, felt very informed in that respect. Becoming involved, same again with community events and such. Parents are very involved, and we were invited to plant trees when the school became a forest school, which was actually really good fun. Jubilee, parents came and dressed up. It was like 1950s theme, it was really, really good. So yes, parents are involved. As far as children's education, there was homework, reading. For my eldest daughter in Year 1, her homework would consist of one piece a week, literacy or numeracy, and it was about a 10-minute thing. It wasn't very long, but sometimes we didn't do it. I don't feel that at that age homework is of any value, and I did let my feelings be known to the teacher, who completely understood when we didn't do it because we had other things going on. But we did keep up the reading and so on, which she emphasised was the most important aspect. When my youngest daughter, the amount of homework she had was incredible. I mean, she was at school when she was 4. Some of these children would have turned 4 just the August before, so they were literally just 4. And she would have homework, literacy homework and maths homework to do. She had a reading book, a library book. She had a flip chart that we were supposed to go through. She had an action word book, so there were words she was learning, high frequency words she was learning. It was a massive amount of homework, and there's a lot of pressure for parents, I feel, to get that done, and to feel that if you're not, you're in some way doing a disservice to your child, and I think that was the case. Although when I did go and speak to the teacher face to face about it, she didn't show so much concern when we weren't able to do the homework, and I just felt that this was a waste of the teacher's time, a waste of our time, when it wasn't even deemed by the teacher themselves to be important. That kind of annoyed me. So we were involved in homework, and whenever the school brought in a new scheme, there was a Maths Makes Sense scheme they brought in, and Read Write Ink. Parents were invited to workshops so they could understand the teaching methods of these schemes, which I thought was fantastic. So that was great. The head teacher, she advocated a open door policy, is what she called it. It's like her catchphrase. Every meeting we went to, she would say, she promotes an open door policy. However, I know a lot of parents who didn't know who she was, which I thought was shocking. She would walk across the playground, sometimes parents said to me, "Who's that?" And I would have to tell them it was the head teacher. It goes against her kind of open door policy. It was hypocritical, I felt, that she really put herself out there to be known by parents, yet she had this, "Oh, come and talk to me whenever you feel like it," kind of attitude. She tried to promote that kind of attitude. So I don't know that she really valued parents' input or their opinions. I know she'd want to seem as if she did, but the reality told otherwise. I also, being in the Year 4 classroom, obviously be in the staff room and see teachers and hear them talking, and they knew I was a parent, and they didn't really censor themselves, I didn't feel, when I was around. But they didn't seem to value parents. When it was parents' evening, they just, they were making sweeping statements about some of the parents, and they didn't seem to consider children's home lives when they were planning for them. Some children were in care. It just kind of seemed to be a brush off with that child's in care, so we expect them to kind of act up and not concentrate, but nothing was really done to counteract the disadvantage of the child being in care. And as far as my children went, I was very happy with the safety aspect of the school. Everything was locked. All teachers had fobs, as they do in all schools, I suppose, and it was very secure. So in that sense, I felt they were safe, and I trusted the teachers with my children's safety. So that wasn't an issue. And at the time, my children seemed quite happy in school. They never refused to go, or didn't seem to have any issues wanting to go. But now, since I have them home, I'm aware that they're much happier now. They have said that they found school boring. I'm worried about how engaged they actually were. Thinking back, I'm sure that at times they were, and they've retained some of the things they learned. But just an example, when we studied homeschool, we went to the school to pick up some of their work, and my eldest daughter, it was in Year 1, she brought home a workbook, it wasn't finished, a literacy workbook, and there was a story to go alongside it, which she also brought home. And I asked her if she wanted to give it a go. She said yes. So she sat down with the workbook. Obviously she needs support because she couldn't read all of it herself. So we sat down, we looked through it, and then she started to drift off a bit, kind of a bit bored. And I said to her, you don't have to do it. If it's boring to you, we can put it to one side. And she said, oh, I'll leave it, I'll save it for later. And I said to her, do you really want to say, do you think you're going to come back to this and do it later? Was it interesting to you? She looked at me as if she didn't want to say the wrong thing, and eventually she said she just wanted to throw it away. She didn't want to ever use it. And but the one, she wasn't engaged, which meant she wasn't engaged at school with that particular piece of work, obviously, but this represents the methods in the school. So she wasn't engaged, she didn't find the value in it. It didn't serve a purpose for her. It wasn't enjoyable, and it didn't lead to anything. So she couldn't see it as being meaningful. So I didn't feel that was of any use to her. So anyway, we got rid of it. I think this is a general reflection on the school and schools across the board. So I felt that she wasn't getting a great education at school, but even my children were. I'm pleased with what they've done. I think the teachers did a great job. The teachers did what teachers must do, and they tried to create engaging, fun lessons, I'm sure, and there were activities that they made that my children no doubt enjoyed and learned something from. But as a general thing, I think so much time in the school was wasted on preparing homework, preparing lessons that children have no interest in whatsoever. And this is also reflected when I was in the Year 4 class. We sat down, what homework should we set this week? And it was just another thing on the list to do that even the teachers didn't value. It's like, okay, we've got to set the homework, we've got to put it on the website, it was so much more to do. Also, the school can be seen as doing the best thing for the children when it wasn't anything to do with the children. So that was really frustrating for me as a student teacher and as a parent. The school had Ofsted due the term I was there, and actually turned up the term after I took my children out of school and quit the volunteering, and the school got the satisfactory grade. But it was all that the teachers could talk about. It was all that the school were focused on. There were obviously meetings about getting a good Ofsted and stuff, which I understand has to be a priority for a teacher, no matter how they feel about it, unfortunately. But there was a lot of focus on it, and every time you delivered a lesson, when the teachers would say to you, Ofsted would say this or Ofsted would say that, and there was little concern for what the children were learning, how they were progressing, and so much concern for what the Ofsted outcome would be. And I found this really, really saddening as a student teacher and worrying as a parent. I would think, my children are going to be in this class one day with these teachers. And it's, to be blunt, it scared the hell out of me. When a teacher or a school, when the school fails to put the education of their pupils first, then they're not doing their job. So I didn't feel my children were getting a good enough education, or an education that they deserved. They were the issues and concerns I had as a parent, and I still have as a student teacher going forwards. Like I said before, communicating with teachers, they were friendly enough, and they would always say that you could come in any time and talk to them, and whoever concerned you had, you could kind of come forward. But they didn't seem very welcoming in that, because because they're so busy. I know this, and so therefore, yeah, I thought communication was lacking, but in no way do I blame the teachers or the school itself for that at all. Yeah, so that's pretty much my outlook and my opinion of the school. As far as schools go in general, I thought it was, well, before I saw the kind of behind the scenes, if you like, I was relatively happy with the school. I'd say 7 out of 10, let's say, which really isn't good enough. But afterwards, it just completely opened my eyes, being there as a teacher, to what was going on, and it's made my opinion of the school plummet, to be honest. So yeah, that's a summary of how I got out of school.